Hey everybody, happy Sunday night. Today is August 4th, 2024. We are across the pitch. I am Mike Brera, Dave Miller above me, and Jose Nunez at Subaru Park still just, basically the last man standing out there after a 1-1 outcome, but with a Cruz Azul penalty victory in the League's Cup round of, I guess first round playoff matchup, whatever you want to call it. Dave, you're up late tonight. How you doing today?
Yeah, mate, I'm doing okay. I mean, it's Monday morning here, and technically, don't want to rain shine on Jose, but technically, it would be your birthday right now. So happy birthday from the UK, Jose. Understand it's about 45 minutes away, but happy birthday, Jose.
Thank you. Thank you, Dave. I apologize if it sounds awful. I am trying to give everybody the best view of Subaru Park. Mark Mello and his team are getting the pitch ready for next Friday as the Union take on Montreal, as I understand. Obviously, big asterisk. I don't know time. Hopefully, I got that right, but I'm fairly certain that the game is this coming Friday against Montreal. Listen, all I can say, and I want to be nice and tidy with this live because it is later than usual here at the stadium with an 8 o'clock kickoff. Um, Nothing like it. And I mean that. The fan base was fascinating today with the slew of Mexican fans and what they made this atmosphere. It was electric, honestly, just singing throughout the stadium, cheering, and sure, maybe some foul things being said, but nonetheless, uh, people may have opinions about Leagues Cup, but there's nothing like having guests from Mexico or really any Latin American or Spanish-speaking country. It was absolutely awesome.
Absolutely. So now here's the thing. It's the Union now go advance. They win the group and they advance to the next round, as Jose mentioned. Overall, after tonight's performance, I'm feeling better about this club as a whole. Was it our best performance? No, but this is by far probably the best team we've played this season so far. And I feel like we survived enough to give me some confidence next round. But overall, Union have played better since Andre Blake has come back in net. I really do think he's been the biggest difference maker so far that we've seen compared to what we witnessed only just a couple weeks ago. I mean, the team that we saw with Rick in net, with Semle in net, I don't think they give up only one goal. They probably get beat by 3 or 4 goals tonight against Cruz Azul. Dave, how do you feel about this club right now? Because it feels like the energy between this in this franchise is changing a bit with the product they're seeing on the field.
I, well, we had this discussion probably about 100 times throughout this season, probably at the end of last season as well. And it was they kept rushing Andre Blake back too quickly from his injuries, and it was just a constant. For him, it was stop, start, stop, start, stop, start, where he was never 100% fit. We were watching games where he couldn't take goal kicks, and things like that, and he was never 100%. And again, the Union did struggle this year with Andre Blake and goal. Let's not hide from that fact. But the fact of the matter is, Andre Blake 100%, takes the Union up defensively up another level because of. I think I mentioned it before anyway with Semler and Rick, with the younger goalkeeper, you're not as commanding your box, and perhaps your defenders aren't as confident of having you in there. Because again, you're younger, you're probably a bit weaker, whatever, inexperienced. But having Andre Blake there, 100%, it just makes such a difference. And you could see tonight. I mean, commanding his box, coming well off his line, timing when to come off his line as well. That save in the second half. I'm not sure on the player. Wasn't Giacomakis, was I? Probably, I don't know if it was Giacomakis or someone else, but if I've even said his name right. But again, just come off timing timing to come off his line and things like that. Just commanding the box. I think there was one chance in the first half where I have no idea how Cruz Azul didn't score. Was I think the guy who actually scored the first goal had the ball in a very similar position. And so I was watching and thinking, just why is he not hitting it as hard as he can at the near post? But then you see the replay and Andre Blake's completely covered that near post and somewhat simultaneously cover the far post at the same time. So he's been forced to square it, and then they've made a meal of it. But then again, his positioning there has bailed the Union out, and perhaps we wouldn't have seen that with the Sembler, or they might have left the back post open. Do you know what I mean? It's just having a fully fit Andre Blake just makes such a big difference, and it does make up for the lapses in concentration that we are still seeing defensively from this team. And I'm sure we'll discuss it with the first goal, well, with the goal the Union did concede and other moments in the game. But again, that break masks perhaps so many issues that this team does have and probably still haven't really been addressed. But it's just great to have him back 100%.
Well, listen, without Blake's save right after the Leon Flock turnover, because that's the thing. First of all, I've never seen Leon Flock try to take somebody one on one. Maybe it's happened once or twice that he really tries to take somebody one on one instead of going for the easy pass. Blake saves the game right at that moment. He steps up, and I don't think Semle blocks that. I don't think Rick blocks that. So again, it shows how important he is behind that back line. That's still very much an issue overall. Jose, I mean, what are your thoughts like I said to Dave? Do you feel like this club is kind of getting the right momentum right now?
Yeah, and Jim underscored it today in his press conference, which again I'm still not used to Jim not doing his opening statement. Right, he jumped in right into asking questions. I felt so out of sort because I was waiting. I actually had Twitter ready with Jim Curtin's opening statement, and of course he goes into answering questions. But listen, just to illustrate it, I pulled up some stats. Final of the score: 17 shots to 4 in favor of Cruz Azul. I mean, in the first half, man, it looked like Cruz Azul was just shooting at will and having the space to do it. Fortunately for the Union, shots wide. I guess you would call them warm burners if you're playing golf, right? Just a shot that just goes against the turf the whole time, no elevation whatsoever. But all in all, man, it shows what Andre Blake can do to this team, right? And Sam Adeniran in his interview with Sage Hurley earlier this week, that aired earlier this week, I think just 2 days ago, spoke about just how important Andre Blake is to this group, because when he's in the back barking orders, it's not like he's just sitting there doing nothing. He is able to back up what he demands from the people in front of him. So to be able to have that type of leader on the field and healthy, as it seems, obviously a knee surgery midseason is never ideal, no matter how small of a surgery it is. It's wonderful, and I think the Union are starting to reap the benefits of it all, right?
Yeah.
Not having an 18-year-old keeper who is deserving of a contract and who will be more than likely, or the Union will hope, a mainstay in MLS, but Oliver Semla, who was tossed into the coals so early on due to these injuries. So glad to have Andre back. Glad to see the Union move on in this competition. It's no surprise to anybody. I value this competition quite a bit. I enjoy seeing the diversity in play, because there's no team right now, I don't think, in MLS stronger than Cruz Azul, frankly. You could talk LAFC, you could talk about the Galaxy or any other team in the West or in the East. Cruz Azul is above any of them right now, and it's by a country mile. So for the Union to play as well as they did against them and really scrap for a draw then at the end was amazing. So kudos to them.
No, I absolutely agree, and I think you mentioned diversity. I know, Jose, you were front and center tonight, so I want to hear the diversity in the crowd tonight was very heavy. Like I was there for the Club America match. I've never heard the stadium that loud in my life. People tonight were saying that this was basically about the same level as Club America. I know you also had a couple of videos posted that you shared with us in the group chat about from the away section and just them cheering like crazy. Tell me your experience tonight overall with the fans. Did you get to talk to any of them? What did it feel like being in a sea of blue, but like a different shade of blue?
Yeah, so I got hit on a couple of times, which is funny. Doesn't happen often.
That's a given.
But I embedded myself with the away fans for the second half, maybe 40 minutes, and then I sprinted back to get my tablet and my phone, etc. And it was amazing, man. I mean, if you haven't seen the videos I posted on Twitter, please consider watching them. Not because I want the interaction, though that helps, but frankly, the passion from the fans singing and not needing the drums and still keeping the music going, the chants moving, felt really organic. Was awesome. It was so cool. And even talking to fans outside and yes, even inside, some of these folks flew in from the West Coast, some from Mexico, some drove from New York City, some drove from Florida up because they don't get to see their team in the United States often. And, it's not easy for a lot of them to go back to where they were. It might not be a situation where it makes sense for them to go back, maybe a political type of situation. I mean, that's the reason why I haven't gone back to Bolivia myself after 15 years at this point. So yeah. It's awesome to see the joy in their face and the heart on their voices when they see Cruz Azul and they're just singing from the bottom of their gut, letting it all out. And sure, are there bad apples? Absolutely. In any fan base, you could say the same, I'm sure, for here at Subaru Park. But ultimately, it's unlike anything you see in MLS. And honestly, to be part of it and embedded in it for about 40-45 minutes was awesome. So good, and got one number.
There you go. Perfect. That's awesome. And Todd joins us. Thank you guys for doing this. Glad to see Dave up. Listen, Todd, you know we had to go back to the original three here. I'm sorry you couldn't make it tonight, but we'll see you again soon. I definitely miss Todd Lewis on the show. And then Vince, one of our faithful friends and followers, says a lot of guys around us came from NYC and usually go to RBA, so the experience here was so much better. And Vince, I love to hear that. That's great. Dave, how about your thoughts? What did you think seeing that from the TV perspective?
I don't know if this will ruffle a few feathers, and I know obviously listening to Jose's experiences are like the
Thanks, Mark.
the experience tonight. His experience tonight, and people traveling, everything. It does somewhat show in terms of perhaps football fandom or soccer fandom in general in America how far perhaps how far off it is in comparison to other countries. As you sort of said, Jose, you've got people tonight traveling cross country for a Leagues Cup game on a Sunday at like 8 p.m. at night. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, we have Union fans moaning because they have to go to Cincinnati on a Tuesday night, which is what I don't know how far it was like in terms of travel, but like, do you know what I mean? It just shows how different like the footballing cultures perhaps are. I mean, like, and you sort of see this isn't just like Mexican fans over here; they do it in Mexico as well, and it's just the sort of atmosphere, that perhaps. I think we were chatting on the group chat, like that a lot of perhaps US stadiums do that tonight. It was the sort of atmosphere that you don't really see within US stadiums unless you're like watching an LAFC or an Austin or Atlanta when they've got a big game, for example. If Atlanta do really well, that Mercedes-Benz is packed. But like, yeah, I think it does show perhaps as great strides as the MLS is making in America, and the crowds coming in, like it does show like how far away, in terms of fandom support, like the general support, like how far away is still perhaps from other countries like your Mexico's and South America and even over in Europe where teams will travel, and perhaps America is not as big as these other countries, but still like, if you get what I mean.
I do. Hey, can I chime in super quick?
Yes, go ahead.
Before, I just want to get this in. Certainly, I don't think I'm getting kicked out anytime soon, but I just want to. It's on topic. I caught up with Alejandro Bedoya after the match. He was available as a person for us to interview in the mix room, and I was very glad that I was able to ask him this. And there's a lot of commentary around this competition, and sure, a money grab, whatever. Ultimately, everybody has their opinion on it and their feelings, and that's totally fine. But what I did get to ask him was, what does it mean to him as a Latino, Spanish-speaking person to see the diversity in this crowd today? And sure, he mentioned that it was tough that it wasn't the right color of blue, but sure. as a proud Latino who loves to see and hear this type of crowd, it was incredible. To him, it was awesome. And obviously his role this year, obviously being a player, but also having that front office work that he is, designated to do with the role that he takes on the squad. He has been tasked or has been taking on the challenge of, how do the union break into that market and bring in more Latino Spanish speaking fans who may be watching Liga MX first before tuning into the union on Apple, MLS, whatever, at 7:30 in the evening. And it's tough. It's absolutely tough because everybody has their first team and that's what it is. But for him to see this fan base or the fan base that showed up today was incredible. And honestly, as a Spanish speaking person myself and a Latino, who's as white as they get, to be completely transparent.
I don't know. I might be close there, Jose, but go ahead.
Yeah, it was incredible once again to see the atmosphere, even if it was light blue rather than the dark blue or the royal blue with the gold.
Well, before we talk about that, because I want to kind of touch on that as well. Christo Sports mentions any news about Danley Jean-Jacques, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Jose, I know we were tweeting earlier today or texting earlier today about it. Any information about that so far since the news that came out this afternoon?
No, none. Just sources tell me that he has decided to join the union and things are being worked out. Things are moving and it should happen. Obviously, I can't confirm that it is finalized or anything like that and won't until I hear about it. But I would believe that they want him to come in as soon as possible. Obviously, Leagues Cup rules allow the union to substitute 3 players at any moment. Whether it gets trickier in the next round, I don't know if, imagine Leagues Cup if Lionel Messi would have been a ringer coming in just for the final. That would be an interesting situation to work through rule-wise. So I'm not sure what that looks like now in the elimination round. So I'm going to have to dig into a PDF of rules. But I would imagine that the union, considering that the league resumes August 24th, I think against no, I can't remember, 24th. I think it is against Columbus. Or the union would want to get him integrated as soon as possible, whether it's actually competing in Leagues Cup or frankly just getting settled with his teammates for practices. So
absolutely
more to come. It should be a great addition. From the videos I watched today and chatting with folks who know knowledge about the deal, the people are within very, very excited for the addition.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, and I think it's much needed in terms of not only for this season but for next season too. We don't really know what's the deal with Leon Flock, Jack McGlynn, Alejandro Bedoya. Is he coming back for another last hurrah? There's a lot of question marks, especially in the midfield. Dave, go ahead if you want to chime in.
I was going to say, obviously, again, I feel like I know the union are probably one of the only teams in MLS that are really weird about taking the time integrating players with the union, like Cadua, and you see player Rebo as well, for example, who signed for the team, and it took like Mikel, perhaps a little bit less Mikel because I think of the money there. But you see certain players that are brought in, and it takes some time to really get minutes and to really be starting with the team.
Gazdag's a perfect example, who came in and was absolute shit the first half season that he played.
Yeah,
integrated in, but I think sometimes when these players do come from these bigger clubs. I mean, Metz played in the French First Division last year, and I mean, yes, I mean they came last, but again, he was playing up against quality, very strong quality opposition. He should be ready, especially for that sort of thing. You'd like to think that he probably is better than what the Union have right now, perhaps excluding perhaps Jack McGlynn in that sort of midfield three, maybe. So I mean, if he's ready, give him a go. And I think, as Jose said, I know that Gazdag played crap in that first 2-3 months of that season, but I mean, allow them to play through it, work out the kinks as they go along. That's what, and that's perhaps why players like Andres Pereira and Joaquin Torres, and even Jesus Bueno with the Union, again, why he's been so stop-start is because again he took him a year to get in, and then once he did get in, he was taken out again. And then he got back in again. Do you know what I mean? Just give the guy that they did with Gazdag. Give him 2 to 3 months just to hit the ground running. And if he struggles at the end there are struggles to end the season, okay, he's got a whole off season, he's got a whole pre-season to become adjusted and then go back again next year, as opposed to going, do you know what, we're gonna leave him, to train with the Union too, and with the Union for a bit, and then, within the next month and a half, he'll get in the bench and he might play 5 minutes and upon its end of season game. Just chuck him in there. This team has got nothing to lose between now and the end of the season. They're 10th in the Eastern Conference. They've got nothing to lose. And again, as we've seen throughout games this year, this midfield hasn't been good enough, hasn't been strong enough in games. And if he can offer a bit more steel, if he can offer a bit more creativity, then great, throw him in there. And if he has growing pains, there's growing pains. And
I think a lot of people feel that way, Dave. They're not so. They're more worried about how he's going to be integrated than anything, because of players like Davo and Orvik and even Riasco, who just basically vanished into thin air. These players that the Union have struck out on periodically. I think Brebo is the best example. I mean, quite literally, we thought he was going to be done for the rest of his Union career, and then suddenly he's the most important man on our roster overnight. So I think I'm excited for the new edition. I'm excited for the fact that this team's looking ahead to next season, because it's clearly a move for next year. And same with Sam Adeniran. I think that might be a move that potentially is added to next season. But at the same time, how is Curtin going to now use him moving forward? I think that's a great point.
I'll say, Max, sorry, just to go off the Riasco point, like Orovich, these are players that, again, I know obviously training is really important, but you hear managers all the time speak about that, how some of the best players they ever coached and some of the best players in footballing history were terrible trainers. They were awful in training. But then when it comes to a game, they're some of the best players in the world. Again, you can't just, base everything off training sometimes. If you bring a player in to be to make an impact, give them the chance to make an impact on the pitch. If they struggle in training, they struggle in training. If they come in and make an impact on the field, then so be it. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes you have to take that risk, especially, when you, as you've mentioned, you struck out on so many players that never really ever got the opportunity to actually prove themselves, like an Orovic and Darvo, and even like Bueno now, who again has received plenty of praise from Jim Kern for being a great trainer. He's been amazing in training. He's done great for the U2 and things like that. Like he's still struggling. He's still struggled to really cement his place in the first team after we thought he was a dead cert after his sort of end of season form last year. Like give player if you're going to spend that money on a player, just give them the chance to hit the ground running as opposed to either putting them on the leash for 3 months and holding them back, or stop, start. Just sometimes players do need to be thrown in the fire, as Jose alluded to with the Gazdag, and even Mikhail was sort of thrown straight in when he first joined.
Yeah, absolutely agree. But kind of going back to Jose's point with the fans, and I was thinking about also, Dave, obviously you follow Gillingham, who's been around since 18, God knows what. I think Union fans and Philly fans in general forget that the Phillies have been around for 100 and some years. The Eagles have been around for Cruz Azul has been around for 97 years or whatever it is. Club America has been around for, a century. To try to compete with that fan base when we've been around for 15 years and the league's only been around for 25, 30, it's just so hard to compete with that. I know Philly fans are upset. How could Super Park be overrun? It's like, for one, soccer is not a big sport in this country to begin with. And two, we just don't have the existence that a club like Cruz Azul has. But in terms of I know Mark joked around the Sons of Ben need to go recruit the ethos of the Ben. I honestly understand that he's joking, but at the same time, I do want to see the Sons of Ben and the Union in general go out and find these Hispanic pockets that can go into Super Park and fill it like the way they did tonight, because the passion is just different. It's like an Eagles game. Dave, you've been to an Eagles game. It's just a different passion. The Eagles have been around forever. It doesn't matter if they're the worst team in the league or the best team in the league, if it's a preseason game, or look, if they go out to San Diego, right? If the Eagles go out to San Diego or to LA, whatever.
Even their practice this week, Mike, how big that bowl was filled.
That's what people have to understand. It's a different passion. If when the Eagles go to LA, that stadium is overrun with green. It's the same exact thing.
I was at the Eagles-Rams game last year. It was literally all Eagles fans. I brought my friend to his first NFL game, and you couldn't believe how many Eagles fans were out in LA. And I think you look at the Phillies fans, and I mean, obviously it's not been a great stretch for the Phillies, but you could watching the Phillies game tonight, even yesterday, the amount of Phillies fans you could hear in that stadium, cheering the team on and chanting "Let's go Phillies," and you think it's on the freaking West Coast. Who goes to Seattle in August?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know they're on a West Coast stretch; they might be doing that, but I mean, there's so many Phillies fans. Do you know what I mean? I guess alluding to again, perhaps the history and growing within the community, and it takes time. And I do agree, but I think it comes back to again, doesn't it? The point I made earlier with. Just the game growing in America as opposed as you sort of see the game continue, the fandom continue to grow. It's going to take time, and I think again that's where the two sort of countries, what's the word, differentiate in Mexico and in America, where football, soccer is probably the fourth, fifth sport, whilst in Mexico it's life or death. Same as in England, same as South America. I mean, it's life or death, which unfortunately for football, the MLS is just not on that level, is it? Sadly,
and Todd mentions as well in Chicago when he went up to see the Cubs. I think he was up with Matt Ralph. Philly fans in Chicago for 4th of July, and listen, and that's also too is that people will leave the Philadelphia area and live in California or Chicago, and that's these large pockets of Jersey, Philadelphia fans that have moved across the nation. It's great to see these games, these away matches, and see these fans there. And I think the Union will get there eventually, where they have that, but maybe not within the next couple decades. And they maybe, to Vince's point, if they're winning too, they won't have a problem filling the stadium, even if it is on a Sunday night at 11 o'clock at night. And Vince said, I went to a Phillies game in Seattle before a cruise to Alaska, and it was a Phillies home game. That sounds like quite the hell of a trip.
Before I part ways with you guys, it is 25 minutes into this. You guys can carry on, but I want to get out before I get locked in.
Yeah.
Again,
that would be good. That would be good content, Jose. Maybe you should get locked in.
Living in the press room overnight? I don't think so. I got to work tomorrow.
Jose's birthday sleepover at the Super Bowl.
Yes.
No, I want to wake up to my kids, please. I have breakfast. I have breakfast in bed coming tomorrow. And I'm gonna need it after this long night. Again, this was a serious Cruz Azul team, and this was not a Cruz Azul team that was just trying to cruise by the way Monterrey did it for the third place game last season. Obviously, the Union last year drew in Querétaro, and I think was it Tijuana or was it Atlas? I can't remember, one of the two for the group stages of the competition, which were very mid to bottom of the barrel teams in Liga MX. So to take Cruz Azul to a penalty shootout here, it's unreal. It is such a good sight to see onto what this team can achieve should they really turn it around and take this momentum. Granted, the story's still to be written on what happens with Leagues Cup, and as Martin Anselmi said to the fans, to the press, who is the coach for Cruz Azul, they are not here just to stay in shape or stay in rhythm. They're here to be the last team standing and win Leagues Cup. So I think the Union are taking it that way. They really can't choose, especially if they want to play international soccer next year. Need to qualify for that international berth because it's tough to see them doing well in MLS Cup considering the way that their form has been the first half of the season, and that's okay. So encouraging sights, and it's I think a lot of it having to do with Andre Blake, and that's no shade to Rick or Stem. So I'll leave you guys with that. Thank you so much, everybody who tuned in. Mike and Dave, you guys can review the game further if you want. But what an awesome scene today, and I hate to say it, a much boring matchup per se against Montreal on Friday. But I don't know if I'll be here. Depends if something may have happened with my trip to Rhode Island. So I'll keep you guys posted.
Sounds good, Jose. And I had heard also from somebody, Dave, that it was possibly Wednesday the 7th, which should be the game. I have to now confirm because I heard the 7th. Oh, wait, that's a shirt that he got me. Bring it closer to the camera. I can't see it. Ooh. I asked Jose to grab me a Cruz Azul kit, so thank you, Jose. I appreciate that. Vince does want the Raquinho documentary from Jose, by the way, which I agree with. I agree with. And then he says if Matt Freeze wins tomorrow, we have home field advantage against everyone but Orlando through the quarterfinals, which is massive.
Mike, this kit is, I think, as legit as a fake can get. Your club crest is that like cool plastic race type of thing, just like the Union one, nice and crisp.
Yeah.
So for a cool $35, I got it for you. I said to the, as Mike will understand this, I said to the Doña, if I bought two, if she would give me a break on the price. She said, absolutely not, you gringo. So had to buy only one for $35 rather than trying to haggle for two for $50. So it is what it is. Mike, you're a proud owner of a Cruz Azul kit. And I look forward to seeing you next time at the game, Mike.
I'll try. I'll do what I can, man. I appreciate it. Dave, I mean, I know you're up at this point at 5 a.m. for you, so we'll make a